let's find out. Let's figure out what is your authenticity. What and what symbols can we look for that will connect people to that.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Traversing Entrepreneurship podcast, a show for business owners who set out to do something different and did not stop there. This is Dall'Olmo coming to you from Traverse City, Michigan, the city that inspired the name of this show. With over 18 years of experience in the finance and tax industry, I've heard my fair share of success as well as horror stories in business. On this podcast, I enjoy sitting down with a variety of entrepreneurs to talk about what it takes to build a successful business and all the ups and downs that come along with doing something different and paving your own way in life.
Okay, so I'm not a horror story.
No, you're not. I never.
Okay, I just want to make sure which side of the fence I'm on.
Well, in theory, we could go through the golf side of things, and I'm sure you have some.
Oh, there's other stories that go along with that. That's the least of my.
It's all good, but
yeah.
In today's episode,
right, so take two.
Take two. All right. In today's episode, I'll be interviewing Steve Miller, a best-selling author, a no-nonsense consultant, if you can't figure that out already, and an empowering speaker. Join us today as we discuss his business, The Adventure LLC, and how he develops individuals and businesses and helps them stand out by unlocking their unique strengths and helping them become uncopyable. Welcome to the show, Steve. Thanks for being here.
Boom shakalaka, Jerry. Traverse City. I love that you say you said something like Traverse City, and I thought you were going to say it was like there was something that Traverse City was known for, right?
Well,
and
cherries.
And it's known for your podcast, right? I live in Federal Way, Washington State, right? Federal Way. It's a town named after a road. So it's got a serious identity crisis.
It does. Traverse City is known around the world, quote unquote, as the cherry capital of the world because for the longest time we were the largest producer and exporter of all the cherries. Now I believe Washington and even China is probably bigger.
Yeah. Washington's huge. Washington is big. And Traverse City, and I'm not going to go through the whole story, but when you and I are off here, I have to share the story with you. I was keynoting a speech for the Michigan Grocers Association, at the resort there and stuff. And one of my all-time greatest personal stories, my wife just she can't even hear the name Traverse City without just going into, remember when it? Yeah, that was a long time. So I'll share that with you later.
Perfect. I can't wait to hear it. So I guess, to reroute the conversation, how did you get to where you're at? Give me and our listeners.
I won't give the whole story because that we just don't, we definitely don't have enough time for that. But just say from college on, okay, I tried to be a PGA Tour player out of college.
And you did play on the tour.
Well, so I did. I was out there.
Yes.
Okay. I was out there.
Let's put it this way. You made it to the top 0.1% of the golf world.
Yeah. My very first round, but the very first tournament I was playing in, I was paired with Chichi Rodriguez, and go out to the first tee to introduce myself to him, and he thought I was his caddy. So that's kind of the way my whole career went after that. So anyway, so I played golf, didn't make enough money to stay out on tour, had to find something else to do. I had a roommate from college who was working out in Hollywood as a director, and he gave me kind of a work with him behind the camera type of stuff. And then together, he and I started doing swap meets and flea markets out in Orange County, California. We would find companies, and he found a lot because of his connections with Hollywood. A lot of companies who had like extra products, things they couldn't sell and stuff. And so we would go to the swap meets. That was how we really made our money. I mean, he made it big as a director. And I was still just I was a gopher or whatever I was behind the camera. And, but it helped me to make some money going and selling stuff at the swap meets. Well, number one, I learned how to sell. And I also learned what products worked and that type of stuff. And so ultimately I got a job working for a company, a Japanese toy company, and worked my way up with them I became very successful at sales, and kind of because I was in there and it wasn't a massive company, I got involved with marketing, and man, that's where I found my sweet spot. I mean, sales is okay. I'm not the world's greatest salesperson. My wife is the world's greatest salesperson, but marketing was something. Man, I just fell in love with marketing, and I got really, really good at it.
You had to do
And
something right in sales because you got your wife to marry you.
oh yeah, that story. You talk about persistence. It took me 6 weeks just to get my first date with her. So I mean,
So you're not a bad salesman.
I'm not a bad salesman. Thank you.
Persistence
Yeah,
is key.
that's the word I would use. But because when I think the reason why we finally started dating and we ultimately got married, Time magazine, I think it was Time magazine, came out with an issue, and on the cover it showed a young woman in her early 30s, and it said, "If you are this person, you are more likely to be killed by a terrorist than to get married." And so that really helped a lot with our with me moving forward with her. So. And so while I was working with this company, this toy company, we used to do a lot of trade shows and stuff, which that's what companies do. And one time I was at a trade show in New York City, and at the end of the trade show, a guy came over to me, and he said, "Are you the head of this company?" And I said, "Well, I'm in charge of the booth, and the sales stuff like that." He says, "So are you the guy that planned this?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Well, I'm the trade show manager for Apple Computer over here." And, they have this massive booth, and stuff. And he says, "And you're kicking our ass." He says, "Come and teach me how to do this." And I started doing some moonlighting for them, and would fly up to Santa Clara and that area on weekends and meet with those guys. They introduced me to some other companies, and gradually it got bigger than just trade show marketing and stuff, but launched my career as a marketing guy and marketing consultant and stuff. And since that time, and eventually I started writing books and giving a lot of speeches, and one by one, bang, 38 years later, here I am. So
how does one decide that they want to write a book? Because
well, first of all, okay, anybody who likes to write a book is a very sick person, and there's no question about that, right? But what I learned, okay, I would give speeches to generate clients,
okay,
right? And so I'd get hired to go. I'd get hired to go speak somewhere, and if I was really good, somebody in the audience would probably hire me to consult for them. That was like the best marketing tool ever, until somebody said to me, one potential speaking opportunity fell through because the person and it was a big conference, and they were going to have a lot of people there and stuff, and they said, "Well, do you have a book?" And I said, "A book? Why do I need a book?" And they said, "Well, you need a book." And and it turns out, speakers on the planet, the most successful speakers on the planet all have books.
They all have something they can hold up and say, "It's in my book."
Well, and it's in my book. But also, here's the thing that really matters, is that when you if your name is on a book, all right. So, like, this is my 10th book right now, 10th book. Okay, if your name is on the book, now that's my wife's name and my name, right? This gives you automatic credibility,
yep,
and authority, and that's the thing. That's what the conferences that are hiring speakers want, because that's what draws attendees to the conferences. And so I wrote my first book many, many years ago, and it was about trade shows. It was about trade show marketing and stuff. Went on to be the number one selling book of all time in the trade show world, and just knocked it right out of the park. But then as I expanded into more marketing, then my next book, so like I say, that's my 10th book, started to expand into more business marketing, that type of stuff, and ultimately personal branding, which is our last our last book. Of the 10 books, I'm super, super fortunate to have had 4 of them become bestsellers on Amazon. And so very, very proud of that. That's my story.
So how does one?
But
let's go.
I help
Let's talk
people
about.
make money. I really do.
Yeah.
That's the main thing. I used to say, people would say, "Are you a motivational speaker?" I say, if you are motivated by money, I'm a motivational speaker.
Fair enough. So your first book was called what?
How to Get the Most Out of Trade Shows.
Okay. Your most successful book was called what?
It's called Uncopyable: How to Create an Unfair Advantage Over Your Competition.
So I'm going to ask the question that you should never ask an author. Can you give us the cliff notes of the book?
Yeah.
But how does one? Because you brought up a few things already. The automatic credibility, of having a book, etc., and then
Right.
how to make yourself stand out. Those are two, regardless of what type of business you're in.
Yeah, you
right?
see that's, and that's such a good point, and it's such an important, and that can actually be the whole conversation here. Is that it doesn't matter whether you're a business or whether you're a person or anything like that. If you want, uh, 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 um, if you want to be noticed, if you want to be more successful, then you have to have some type of way. There's a couple of things that have to happen here. Okay. The first thing is that you have to have some way to prove that you are different from everybody else.
Yep.
Now, you notice I didn't say the word better. You're not
No.
better than everybody else. Better is eminently copyable. People don't buy from you because you are similar to the competition. They buy from you because you are in some way different than the competition. Whether we are talking about you as a company different from the competition, whether we're talking about you as a solopreneur different from the competition, whether we're talking about you as an employee, you're competing with other employees for a raise or a promotion or maybe a new job or something like that. So the big question is, why should I hire you versus every other opportunity available to me out there, including doing nothing? Right. So when the lightning bolt comes out of the sky, and that lightning bolt hits whoever it is on the head, it's out there that says, "Man, I really could use this product, this service, this knowledge, this back. I really could use that." Do they think of you first? Do they think of you second? Do they think of you at all? And what we try to do in our world is, by teaching people the uncopyable philosophy, we say, you want to be like Jerry Garcia from the Grateful Dead used to say. He said, you never want to be the best of the best. You want to be the only one. Right? And I always thought,
then
man,
you're unique.
That's right. You have to be unique in some way, meaningfully and valuably unique. That's the key thing. And when you can do that, then you can also, and you still have to also learn marketing, and be smart about marketing. And so what we talk about kind of over in the overall philosophy is number one is being able to develop your brand, but number two is you see this guy up here, that moose, that orange moose. Okay, the moose is key. It is a very key component to the uncopyable philosophy. We call it hunting moose. That's who your target market is. It's a moose in the forest. So if we talk about it quickly, we just say, okay, if you're hunting moose, if that's who your target market is, all right, would you go to Florida? No, you go to Canada or something like that, right? You got to go where the moose are. That's number one. Number two is when you find the forest, do you want a forest that has a few moose running around? You want a forest that's got 1 million moose running around?
Obviously, 1 million moose,
right? The big one, right? You want to find a forest that's filled with moose, right? So then once you get into that forest, what kind are you going to use? A tennis racket to hunt for this thing? What are you going to do? No, you're going to use a moose gun, right? A moose gun. Now, the key point about the moose gun, and then also the fact is you want to use moose bait. How do you attract them to you, right? How do you and because and one of the key statements is you also don't just want moose, you want hungry moose. But you don't want deer, you don't want bear, you don't want beavers, you don't want rabbits, you don't want fish, you're not hunting all the animals in the forest. You're just hunting moose. And that's one of the key things is you have to know who your market is. You have to start with
who is your moose?
Who's your moose? That's what we say. Who's your moose? If you talk to any of our clients, that's one of the first things they'll ever say to you is they will say, well, who's your moose? Who's your moose? Because they get it, right? And if I get to know the moose better than anybody else, then I'm gonna. That's a huge step. That's a huge step.
Yeah, it's funny. I was talking with one of my friends last night, actually, one of my old college roommates, and he owns a small locally owned shipping, packaging company, right?
He didn't go to Michigan, did he?
Oh, he did.
I don't know.
Yeah, but he was telling me about all the things that he needed, to do to grow the business. I was like, I think you're thinking about this completely backwards. I was like, for using the terms that we're using today, I was like, you need to find your moose.
That's right.
Like,
moose first.
You're looking at it from the sense or from the lens of the proprietor, saying, here's what I need to do to raise revenue in certain ways. It's like flip that around and say, here's what the moose, here's the moose. Here's the bait you have to give the moose, and then that all transitions to everything you just said. But you're not putting any time and effort, creativity into figuring out what that is.
Yeah, and actually, let's make it even a little bit stronger here. Okay, so you find out you don't take a product and go look for a market.
Right. That's
the hardest way to succeed. So if you can identify your moose, and then you ask, and you say like moose bait, all right? Well, see, actually, a better way to ask that question is, or a more reliable way to ask that question is to say, okay, what problem do they have?
That's exactly what I said.
What problem? What painful situation would that person move heaven and earth to get out of? Like quick example. We have crows and raccoons, our neighborhood, okay, who have destroyed our yards, completely destroyed our yards recently. Just ripped them up as if somebody came in with a plow and just tore our yards up and tore the sod up and everything like that. Now we've had our house for 23 years. Okay, we've never had this situation. All of a sudden, one morning, everybody woke up and we all walk outside. We go, "What the heck?" The yard. Yeah, we're like, what happened? And to this day, we still don't know how to fix it. But anyway, the point being, the day before that, it never occurred to me that I might need somebody, a specialist who could take care of raccoons and crows. Never occurred to me. Okay, if somebody had come up to me and said, you know what, one day you might have a problem with raccoons, and so you should buy this protection, blah 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 blah. Right? You're going to go, no. See that is the example of somebody has a product they're trying to sell me. They're thinking that it's the old find a need and fill it type of argument, right? That's BS. That is BS, because he thinks I have a need. Right? That person who's trying to sell me thinks I have a need. I don't think I have a need. And if I don't think I have a need, I don't have a need. All right? But the next day, when I walked out and I looked at my yard, I turned to my wife and I said, I got to find some guy who can help me get rid of raccoons. I now have a painful situation. I now have a problem. I now have a very strong need, and I want that need gone. I want my problem gone.
Yep.
Right? So, who do they think of? Do they think of you first? Do they think of you second? Do they think of you at all? In Jerry Garcia's place, he would say, "You're the only one they think about." That's uncopyable.
And he was also stoned to bejesus when he said it.
Well, can you imagine what he could have said if he wasn't?
Oh man.
How smart that guy was.
Yeah.
One of the smartest quotes I ever heard. And really, it absolutely tracks with the way we work with our clients. As we say, look, we're not trying to be better. We're not trying to build a better bed in a hotel than the other hotels building beds. We're trying, we're and we don't want to be copyable. And I, giving speeches around the world and stuff, and I talk about, being uncopyable and that type of stuff. Inevitably, somebody says something to me. Well, we took this product that was, we're going, in the marketplace, right? And we made it way better than everybody else's. And you know what happened? They all copied us. That really makes me angry. And I said, what part of uncopyable did you miss in this conversation? Because if you make something better than your competition, and 99 times out of 100, that's all you're trying to do, is you're watching the competition. You're watching all of your competitors. That's what you do. You live and breathe watching the competitors, and you go, what are they doing? We can do that, but we can do it better. We can do it better, And then you know what? You come out, and for a teeny tiny little short time, you have a little bit of an advantage, and then all your competitors are watching you, and they go, "Hey,
we can do that better.
We can do that better, right?" And so if you come up with an idea that is copyable, and if it makes you money, I just take it to the bank. It's going to be copied. And if you are copyable yourself, if there's nothing different about you, I'm like, look at me. Everything walks the talk about me. Everything walks the talk. Moose, orange, just difference. Everything, we walk the talk of being different, and we teach, and we just got stories out the yin yang of clients, who have been successful because they were able to figure something out that was uncopyable.
So, everybody always says, we live in a copycat world, right? So, it's one thing to come up with something that is uncopyable to begin with. How does one kind of maintain that uncopyableness?
Well, yeah. One of the things that, and let's not, miss the point that technology is commoditizing everything.
Okay.
Really important to understand that, that your product and your service, it's really, really, it used to be, years ago, if you think about automobiles, you could name an automobile years ago and you knew whether it had good quality or not. You also knew if it didn't have good quality, right? Years ago, you would have those. That's not true anymore. All cars have quality,
or at least elements of quality.
Yeah, well, but compared to what it used to be like, how often do you see broken down cars on the side of the road anymore?
Not very often.
No, you don't. But we used to see them a lot. Okay, and that's my point. Is that, see, technology has commoditized everything to where quality becomes the ante in the game. And so you can't say our quality is better than everybody else. No, it's not. It is not better than anybody else. It's just you might think it's better than anybody else, but that's you smoking something in your own house. All right, your customers, your clients, they don't see anything different from you, and if they don't see anything different from you, you're selling on price.
Yep.
And if you are selling on price, my friend, then you are so copyable. And don't even think about arguing with me, because that's just a fact. That's just a fact. So the
I
thing,
completely agree with the fact, but everybody will argue with it. It's the price versus value, argument, right? Or
it is, but it isn't. You see, the fact is that if you are competing on price, you are a commodity. Period.
sure,
And so the question is that are when you are selling, when you are marketing, are they beating you up about price? You say value. Okay, I have a phrase that I'm really well known for, and everybody that's listening to this, watching this, write this down. Where value is clear, the decision is easy. Where
I like
value
it,
is
man.
clear, the decision is easy. And if value is not clear, the decision is also easy.
It's a
So
two-parter.
yeah, so the point being that you want to, and yes, you want to create a value to that moose, that the bait that moose is looking for, the solution to the problem that moose is looking for, that you are providing something to them that they just go, oh, I have to have that. I have to have that, and you're the only person that gives it to me. And it could be something as simple, and it doesn't have to be just it's not the product I'm talking about. It's everything about them dealing with you.
Okay.
Everything walks the talk. Like, think about what is the most successful roller coaster in the world?
Probably Millennium Falcon at Cedar Point or something like that.
Not even remotely close.
Okay.
It's not. No, not even the one that is the number one in the world. You already know it. You've ridden it probably a dozen times.
Life.
Space Mountain.
Okay. Yes.
See, but you see, Space Mountain is just a roller coaster, and it's not even a great roller coaster, but it's wrapped in an experience that people want to go back to over and over again, and they tell their friends. Okay, so see, that's the point. See, the product is just the roller coaster. That's the product, but everything about that is it's the experience is the marketing. And so you look for ways to create whatever it is that is wrapped up in what people see about you and from you, whatever it is. Huge difference. Another quick story. Okay. Right. Did I tell you about my buddy, the furniture salesman down in Houston? All right.
Briefly, but
There's
I
a guy
want to hear it
named
again.
Jim McInvale who has 3 furniture stores in Houston, Texas. He's known as Mattress Mac. Now, some people know him as the guy who bets millions of dollars on sports.
All right, okay? I know who this is. Yeah.
All right. But others, and in Houston, he is a certified rock star in Houston, because when Hurricane Katrina hit Houston and flooded, badly damaged the city, he went online and he said, if you have been displaced from your home, go find one of my stores, one of our gallery furniture stores. You can sleep in our beds. If the beds are full, we'll pull the mattresses out. If the mattresses are full, you can sleep on the couches. We will feed you. We will help you find clothing. The guy was a complete savior for Houston. And you cannot walk down the street without people just absolutely wanting to get their picture taken with him. Okay. Kay and I, my wife Kay, when we meet people that we think are really cool, or hear about people that we think are really cool, we put together a care package of stuff. See the moose?
Yep.
And it's our books, but we also throw in sunglasses. I mean, goodies, just lots of goodies. And we just say, hey, just hey, you're a cool person. We think you're a cool person, and we hope you like this stuff, right? We sent him a box. Okay? Several months later, he is at the Houston Astros opening game of the baseball season. And he's sitting there in the stands with his family, and the Astros baseball players come running out onto the field in orange jerseys. And he said, Steve Miller. I have to call Steve Miller. And he called me the next morning and hired me to consult for them. Because orange connected him to my name and the word uncopyable. Oh. That's part of what all this is what this is all about. Is that you have to create and for lack of a better term, we say it's your brand, whether it's your company brand, your personal brand, or anything like that. But another way of also looking at it is, what's your story?
Yeah.
What story are you telling that everybody says, man, that's a great story. I love that story. See, so like when Jim saw the orange, that immediately reminded him of me, but at the same time, he also thought, I need to hire Steve to help us be more uncopyable. He didn't call me and ask me what my fee was. He didn't call me and ask me how you do it. All he did was call me and he say, how soon can you get to Houston? And help my company. And this is a guy who is unbelievably successful. Okay. And, and that's the type of thing I'm talking about is that, and our clients, when they are using our language, right? Moose, they're uncopyable, SEO, for example, SEO is a huge thing, right? You got to get your website dialed in there with SEO. Otherwise you won't be on the first page of Google.
Google, yeah.
Right. And even if you're on the first page, boy, hopefully you're above the fold, right? Hopefully you're at the top at the top. Here's what I would say. I'll tell anybody here, go ahead. Here's what I want you to Google: Steve Miller, Uncopyable.
All right.
What do you find?
I see. Let's see your book, Uncopyable at the top. A book by Steve Miller, How to Create an Unfair Advantage. Then the next one is Amazon.
Scroll down.
Link to your book.
Scroll down. How many listings are there with about me or my wife Kay in our books?
All of them.
Okay. Go to page 2. Actually, go to page 10.
All of them.
How am I doing on this SEO?
I'd say you're doing pretty darn good.
Think anybody else can try and take that word uncopyable away from me?
Nope.
No, they can't. See, that's the point. Is I'm doing something. See, we need to try to do that's branding. You asked, I told you a story about playing golf and how I got in it, all this sort of stuff. I mean, and the stories talk, but you pick out a branding promise. What is your promise to everybody, to the world? My promise is, if you hang out with me, you will be different. That's my promise.
On page 13, and it's still all of them.
Yeah. Oh, I think it's like page 20 before you find something else, So, now, yeah, of course it's taken us a few years to get there, but it didn't take forever, and, so again, the point being that really what we want to do is we want to look for something. Stop looking at your competition and trying to be better than the competition. And legitimately, the big question then is, well, how do I do that? Well, see, the box that everybody keeps talking about, that they say get out of the box.
Yeah.
All right. What is that? What does that mean? What is it? What is the box?
Your own way. I don't know.
Nobody's ever explained it, have they?
No.
They just assume. Everybody says it, assuming that there is some type of definition that we all get. No, nobody's ever. I'm going to explain it to you. All right. Here, let's say you are in the manufacturing world. Manufacturing. Okay. Well, you live in a box for the manufacturing community. That's what your box is. Manufacturing community. Inside that box are all the companies that supply products in the industry, all the companies who buy products from the manufacturing world. There are all the trade shows, all the meetings, all the websites, all the magazines. Everything that is manufacturing related is in the box. So we live in the box. What do we look at every single day? The box. We're in the box, and we're just looking at, and all we're doing is looking at everything else inside the box. And so, where do we get new ideas? We supposedly we just get we're just looking at the competition, and we're saying, what are they doing? What are they doing? You know, oh, we can do it better. Oh, we can do it better. It's but it's copyable because everybody everybody in manufacturing is in that box. So now we say you got to get out of the box. All right, that's only part of the story. It's like, and then what? You get out of what? You get out of the box, and what?
Outside of the box is a blank slate, right?
There's nothing there. Okay, so if you want new ideas, now what we do teach is we say, look, if you really want to be uncopyable, then you build your own box. You build your own box and you fill that box with stuff that will help you be uncopyable. Now, where are you going to find stuff that helps you be uncopyable? You find it in boxes that have no connection to you. Zero connection with you. In other words, you go find alien. If you're in the manufacturing world, you go into the healthcare world. You go into the healthcare box. You go into the food box. You go into the transportation box. You infiltrate these other boxes, and you look at what they're doing, and you steal. You steal ideas from aliens, other boxes. That's what we call it. We call them alien experiences. You go and then you take them back. So, like for example, when I said manufacturing, okay, I was consulting for Caterpillar, and they're outside of Chicago, and so I said to them, they wanted to figure out how to get different. They wanted to figure out how to educate drivers, how to teach people stuff like that. But they wanted to do it in a way that wasn't just the same as handing a manual to somebody, right? So I put everybody on a bus, and we drove into downtown Chicago, and I took them all to the American Girl store.
I was just there, let's say 20 days ago.
Okay, yeah, Mr. Dad of 3 daughters, man, I knew you were going to be. I knew. All right, now, when my daughter turned 10, there was only one store in the world, and that was the one in Chicago. Okay, and it wasn't in the location it's in right now, but it was in another place. But okay, so here I take these guys, and we pull up in front of the American Girl place. They go, "But this is a doll store," and I said, "I want you." I said, I want you to go in there, and I want you to study this doll store. And I want you to come up with ideas that you can steal from them, and we're gonna use it at Caterpillar, right? These guys were, they did not want to go in there, right? 4 hours later, I pull them out of there kicking and screaming. They've got hair salon, they got
the dolls,
the restaurant with the chairs, they got the menu, everything like that. My favorite part is the hospital.
Yeah.
Now, why is it? See, this is very, very important, and I'll use another example to reinforce this. Okay, what do we usually call places that when our product is broken?
Repair.
Customer service.
Okay.
Customer repair, right? That's the generality that the term that everybody uses, right? No, American Girls calls it's a hospital. Dolls don't break; they get sick. And if your doll gets sick, it checks into the hospital, and then what do they do when it's time for the doll to go to the back? Have you seen it?
No. Well, I mean, I saw it happen. I wasn't. I was
How
avoiding the
does the doll how does the
conversation.
doll get from the front counter to the back?
Probably. Well, there's either the physician, the doctor, or probably an ambulance.
What do you do? What happens in a hospital
Oh,
when you check
a gurney or a bed. Yeah.
a wheelchair?
Yeah.
They have a wheelchair for the dolls to go into the hospital.
Well, I
So
was literally sitting right next, so as I was, going through one of your dad moments, kind of stewing while your wife and daughters all have these massive bags that they're just dumping stuff into for all their
right,
accessories for the doll. One of the only spots to sit was right next to the hospital, right?
okay,
So one of the moms came up with her daughter and the doll who had the leg had broken off. And I mean, the interaction was priceless. But you're just like, I can't believe I'm watching this right now
that's
for
right,
a doll.
that's right. That doll is not similar to the other
Nope.
dolls because everything walks the talk. The experience, the treatment, the verbiage, the language. If you go, what is the customer service term at an Apple store?
Uh, they've got a name for them. What the heck is it? You'll tell me.
It's the Genius Bar,
Genius Bar, yes.
and the people who get to that, they're called geniuses.
Yep.
All right. So and not everybody knows this, but you can tell who's the geniuses because the color of the t-shirts are different. And from the other employees. All right. So see the point being is and again, Starbucks. Starbucks sells coffee. No, they don't. They
They're
we had to
baristas.
learn an Italian language on how to order coffee at Starbucks.
Yep. What is it?
See,
Venti, Grande, and whatever.
moose,
Moose. There it is.
orange, that type of stuff. So that's my point with when I'm dealing with companies is not is you have to go through the basics. You got to know your moose. Who's your moose? What's their problem? And and then how do we fix that problem in a way where we're the only ones that they consider? And when we do work with them, or when we are with them, everything walks the talk. We walk the talk so that they just go, yeah, you know, um, we know Steve's going to be wearing orange.
Yep.
If you are allergic to orange and you become a client of ours, you'll be dead in 2 weeks because we will send you one of these boxes. We will send I mean that's what we want to do because we want and the purpose of like the color, for example. The color is an anchor so that even when I am not communicating with you,
Anytime I see orange, I'm
anytime you
anchored to
see
you.
orange, you're going to think of Steve. You know, because the anchor then becomes a trigger. And it's like I say, I have clients, and I've heard this hundreds of times. They go, I can't even see the color orange without thinking of you. I can't think of the word moose without thinking of you. And that's what you want.
So how does one? So you've obviously you've 10 books, established brand, all these things. It's taken time and effort and resources to get to moose, orange, all these things that you can nowadays be like, oh, I just need to send a box to Mattress Mac and all these other things to all these people.
Right.
back that up, to somebody, in their first 5 years, let's say that, their budget is this and not this for, you know, giving out things.
Mm-hmm.
How do you start small there?
Well, okay. Well, you go back. I already showed you how do you do this? You steal genius. You leave your box and you go climb into other boxes. And the thing about stealing genius, which is that's one of our books, is that you can be stealing genius all the time, all the time. You can sit in a Starbucks store and look around and get ideas. You can be at a restaurant and look around and get ideas. You can watch a movie and see what they're doing in the movie and stuff like that. Ideas are everywhere as long as you realize they're everywhere.
Sure.
But you see, we tend to we have like two different ways of looking at the world. We look at our work world, and then we look at our world. Now, when we look at the world, like if I say Apple Store to people, and if I say, how many words are on the walls of an Apple Store? They look at me like, what are you talking about? I say, well, how many words on signs, pictures, stuff like that? How many words? And they go, how can you possibly know that? Signs are everywhere. Every store I go into, there's signs and everything like that. I say, yeah, except in the Apple Store, there are only two words. It's in the back of the store on the wall, and it says Genius Bar. There are pictures all over the place on the walls, but there aren't any words. All right, so. But you see, if you don't go in with the attitude of observation, active observation, you don't see stuff like that. You don't realize. You don't see all. You don't see. Oh, it's a hospital. It's not customer service. You don't think of it from a perspective of it's customer service. Oh, no, it's not. It's a hospital. you know, and so ideas are everywhere. And when you said without spending a lot of money, okay? Oh boy, that's a lot of money,
Right.
I mean, look at this. I got my switch plate is orange.
Yeah.
Okay. See, I walk my talk. Okay, and so it is not, and that's another thing I really stress to people. In marketing and branding, you don't have to spend a ton of money. Marketing, it's stupid to spend a ton of money on marketing. It's stupid with all the tools out there right now. But one tool that is being ignored by, I'm going to say 90+% of the businesses and people out there, which is crazy. And I showed it to you just a few minutes ago.
Let's see. What did I ignore?
Now, granted, at the beginning I talked about a book, and in fact, everybody should have a book. Companies should have a book. Everybody should have a book. You can write a book. That's the cool thing about Amazon right now. Amazon KDP. You can have a book written in 3 days, published, and all of a sudden you're a published author. So you got that going for you, okay? But what's this called?
Box.
It's mail. It's snail mail. This is offline mail. All right, here's a stupid question. If you received this in the mail, would you open it?
Yes.
How hard is it to get you to open an email?
Harder.
Yeah, we know.
I can see what it is. I know what it's from. I know what it's about.
So today, the vast majority of companies think digital what is 100% of their efforts. Vast majority. And my philosophy is, where are the moose? How do I reach the moose that is more efficient, more effective, uh, um, more profitable than anybody else? If it's online, fine. I will jump all over it if it's online. Okay, but sometimes it's not online. Sometimes it's offline. But offline is a dirty word now. People
Everything
don't think
has to
of
be
offline.
connected.
Yeah, I all I want to do is I just want to find my moose, and I want to figure out a way that I can reach my moose that they are going to respond to.
What are some, so, we've talked a lot about finding mooses, finding the moose. um, you know, you've worked with a lot of, both companies and individuals over the course of your career.
Yeah,
What are some of the mistakes that you see being made time and time again? And we've hit on some already, but, to try to summarize some of them, here's all the things that you should be doing. Here's
yeah,
some of the things you should avoid
yeah.
doing.
Well, the obvious one right out of the box is stop looking at your competition. I mean, you can look at your competition from the perspective of that's where the minimum viable product is. That's where you find out what the ante is to be in the game,
Okay.
right? But it's not new. There's no new ideas coming from in your box. You have to go outside the box to get new ideas. The other thing is that you have to be uncomfortable. You have to be willing to look, act, talk differently than everybody else around you. You have to.
Be
Otherwise, I mean,
comfortable with being uncomfortable.
comfortable with being uncomfortable. I am. And I've been lucky that kind of just happened. It happened by accident with me. But once I figured it out, man, it's a superpower, right? Um, I'm another thing. Another thing is that you have to do things that help people. All right, the phrase: people do business, people they know, they like, and they
And
trust.
trust.
All right, okay. Kay and I have explained that is only partially true,
Okay.
and
What
we wrote
parts?
it right there on the cover of our book.
Create a personal brand that gets people to know you, like you, and trust you, and remember you. There you go.
Yeah, if they don't remember you, then you got nothing. You got nothing. So you have to figure that out, and it has to be something like orange.
It's almost creating a subconscious remembrance.
That's why it's an anchor and a trigger.
Yeah.
Okay, so and the word uncopyable, we pound that into everybody. They've got that. Um, so and you don't. And I hate to say it like this, but I mean, don't be cheesy.
Sure. Be
Don't,
authentic.
don't be. I mean, obviously, I'm a goof. All right, but I'm a goof who brings high quality. I think high quality, high value uh, to you, and I don't apologize for being a goof.
You're authentic as well, though. I mean,
That's
it's,
that's part of it. Is you have to be authentic.
yeah.
You have to be very much authentic. But I want to look for okay. And I say, let's find out. Let's figure out what is your authenticity. What and what symbols can we look for that will connect people to that. So that when the lightning bolt comes out of the sky, strikes people in the head, Do they think of you first? Do they think of you second? Do they think of you at all? No, we want to be the only ones they think about.
Huh. There has been so much good stuff in this episode.
Well, thank you.
I mean, it's just as a this is like the third or fourth podcast I've recorded in the last 24 hours, and they've been getting progressively more and more, not condensed, but just info condensed in so much stuff. It's like this one has just not stopped, and it's been pretty amazing.
Well,
So,
thank you.
I'm
I really want people to grow from this, get new ideas, grow from this. I mean, I'd love to see them get my books, right? Obviously, and we have and Kay, my I can't call her what I used to call her. But my wife Kay, world-class salesperson. At one point, she was the number one muffler salesperson in the world. Think about that. A woman selling mufflers
in a man's world.
In a man's world, and her last 2 years before she left to go finally be a mama. Her last 2 years, she was their number one salesperson in the world. She knows how to sell.
Yeah.
Right. And one of our books is on Uncopyable sales, which is her. She and I then co-wrote this one on the personal branding, and she is a certified rock star, when it comes to sales. I'm the marketing and branding guy, and I teach the stealing genius stuff too, but she has her own brand.
Yeah.
I mean, it's tied into Uncopyable, but she calls herself Muffler Mama.
Muffler Mama.
Yeah. So now she sees that's something she can tag on to and work off of.
One heck of a ride your entire life and career is, I almost said when you asked me about the roller coaster and it was Space Mountain, I was like, well, either this is going somewhere, like life or an actual roller coaster. It was right. An actual roller coaster.
Actual roller coaster. That's exactly right.
It's funny. We went, we took the kids to Disney, let's see, not this past spring break, the one before. And, of course, the two older girls were tall enough and old enough to go on Space Mountain. So we went there after the fireworks one night when the line was zero.
Short. Yeah.
We rode that as many times as we could.
You just go around and around. You just keep going around and around. Yeah, I've done that.
Because, they were scared on it the first time because it's in the dark, sure. And you can't see what's going on and you're getting jerked all over the place. And by the time we were, you go in the ride, it's dark. They're like, have a vice grip on my, one on either side of me, a vice grip on my arms. By the end of it, neither of them were touching me and they were screaming, let's do it again.
Yeah. And God forbid, I've experienced this multiple times. I've probably ridden Space Mountain probably 100 times. I just love Disney. I've worked with Disney and it's great stuff. But I was in there one time when the ride broke down and all the lights come on. And now you look
see around. How close you are.
Well, not only how close you are, but how small the roller coaster is.
Yeah.
You now look around and you go, oh, it's not even a big roller coaster.
It's funny when you take away that visual sense, how
they built it. They built into it, and we happily bought into the story that they wanted us to take, and that's we want clients to, You know, I mean, the greatest stuff is when my clients say to other prospects, they say, he's a pain in the butt, and he's way too expensive, but you got to hire him.
It's a hell of a tagline to put on.
I
the
know.
card.
I mean, I couldn't. I'm way
too expensive, but you can't afford not to hire me.
That's right.
So I guess speaking of that, how can people get in touch with?
Go to do this. I don't have it here in front. Do beuncopyable.com /5-emails. Kay has put together a series of 5 emails on personal branding, Uncopyable you, and so you can just go there and sign up, and I'll tell you what, Derek, I'll throw something in, but it's just for you and your gang. All right, I haven't given this to anybody else. I have I have several custom GPTs that I just kind of use myself, and I share with my clients and stuff like that. One of my custom GPTs is based on all 4 books. And so here's what I will do for Derek's crowd. You sign up for the 5 part, which then also, gives you access to my, how to contact me and stuff like that. And then send me an email. See, I'm making people work for this.
Of course.
And then send me an email that says that you are on Derek's podcast, and I will send you a link to that custom GPT. That is private. I will only share it with my clients. I have not offered this to anybody, and I have no intention of offering it to any more people than this. But Derek, my daughter's boyfriend's name is Derek. It's just girls, American Girl, in Traverse City, Michigan. And when we get done talking, if we have a minute, I can tell you my Traverse City speaking story.
So the website, beuncopyable.com /5-emails.
5-emails.
There we go.
You should have it. You should have it right there.
Well, that's what I was trying to get to.
Yeah. Make sure it works.
It was a 404 page.
Yeah, make sure it works. Yeah. Yeah. And
first name, Derek at TremontiFinancial.com. Submit. Thanks for requesting 5 steps to a profitable brand. Click here, contact Kay.
I'll change. Wait, no. If she get you, so you can send her the email.
Yes,
and that's fine. I'll tell her to keep her head, keep her eyes open for those emails, and then we'll make sure you guys get the link.
Well, cool. Thank you so much.
Brother.
This was awesome. All right. Well, as everybody knows, my name is Derek Dall'Olmo. I'm the owner of both Tremonti Financial Consultants and Tremonti Tax Solutions, together referred to as Tremonti. We try to bridge the gap between financial advisors and accountants by serving as CFO to our clients. We specifically love to work with business owners to develop a proactive tax strategy to maximize his after-tax profits. It's our job to help you earn more, be more efficient, and pay as little in taxes as legally possible. If this idea piques your interest, please go to TremontiTax.com, schedule a 15-minute chat with me. Whether we end up working together or not, I'd love to hear from you. With all that said, Steve, it was really good talking to you today.
Thanks, Derek.
For those of you listening, if you enjoyed today's episodes, we would love for you to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts and share this episode with other business-minded friends. This has been another episode of the Traversing Entrepreneurship podcast. We had fun today and hope you did too. Thanks again, Steve, for being here, and thank you for tuning in and listening. Love the Hula Girl.
This podcast is presented by Tremonte Financial Consultants, LLC. The firm is registered as an investment advisor and only transacts business in states where it is properly registered or is excluded or exempted from registration requirements. Registration as an investment advisor does not constitute an endorsement of the firm by securities regulators, nor does it indicate that the advisor has attained a particular level of skill or ability. The information presented is believed to be current. It should not be viewed as personalized investment advice. All expressions of opinion reflect the judgment of the presenter on the date of the podcast and are subject to change. You should consult with a professional advisor before implementing any of the strategies discussed. Content should not be viewed as an offer to buy or sell any of the securities mentioned or as legal or tax advice. Always consult an attorney or tax professional regarding your specific legal or tax situation. Different types of investments involve higher and lower levels of risk. There is no guarantee that a specific investment or strategy will be suitable or profitable for an investor's portfolio. There are no assurances that a portfolio will match or exceed any particular benchmark. All investment strategies can result in profit or loss.